My friends, it's one thing to have a political opinion. It's quite another thing for members of America's top law enforcement agency to discuss ways to prevent Donald Trump from being elected president. Now, we should note here that Strzok was removed from the Mueller probe after FBI officials became aware of these texts. But I say there must be more to the story, and today Republicans demanded real answers from Rosenstein.
What's it going to take to get a second special counsel to answer these questions and find out, was Peter Strzok really up to what I think he was?
An inspector general has 500 employees and a $100 million budget, and this is what he does.
What kind of text message do you have to see before you say it's time for a second special counsel?
We take very seriously the concerns of 20 members of this committee or one member of this committee, but we have a responsibility to make an independent determination.
Would you have any opinion on the lack of the fruit from the poisonous tree that might have been erased by Peter Strzok?
Well, as a legal matter, Congressman, I can tell you that if evidence is tainted, then that would raise a concern for me. But typically, our cases would be prosecuted based upon witnesses and documents.
How, with a straight face, can you say that this group of Democrat partisans are unbiased and will give President Trump a fair shake?
We recognize we have employees with political opinions, and it's our responsibility to make sure those opinions do not influence their actions.
This is not just political opinions. This is disgusting, unaccountable bias, and there's no way that could not affect a person's work. Were you aware of just how biased Mr. Strzok was?
No, I was not.
Joining us now for a reaction here in Washington, Republican Congressman Ron DeSantis. He's a member of that House Judiciary Committee. And in New York is James Freeman, assistant editorial page editor of the Wall Street Journal and a Fox News contributor. Congressman, that was wild there, because you saw Rosenstein in this testimony today, and he looked both frightened and he was very defensive in supporting this probe, saying, look, he checks in with me, I check in with him. And it's all going to be okay. They're taking care of it. Were you convinced?
Well, no. I mean, you go back to when he appointed Mueller to begin with. He didn't even identify a crime. He said, oh, Comey's doing a counterintelligence investigation. Just go try to find something. So I think he made a mistake from the beginning. He criminalized politics, basically. Now he sees in the face of these text messages, we have the lead agent on Hillary, who exonerated her, and then the lead agent on the Russia case saying, yeah, maybe he doesn't get elected. Yeah, we're talking in Andy McCabe's office, who's, by the way, the deputy director of the FBI. This is in the middle of the campaign. But we can't, the FBI, take that risk. We need an insurance policy to prevent Trump from getting elected. There's one thing to have a bias. There's one thing to have an appearance of impropriety. This is actually taking a bias and basically saying you're going to use the machinery of government to prevent the American people from making a choice. That's very disturbing.
James, you wrote about this today in the Wall Street Journal, and you noted that the Strzok email, when he raised that issue of the insurance policy, that really jumped out at you. Tell us.
Well, yeah, it goes way beyond having an opinion. It goes way beyond extreme bias or even hatred of the president and his supporters, which is what you see in some of these emails. It really is suggesting that there was action taken, that I think a reasonable reading of it is that these people kind of viewed their role as protecting America from the consequences of its political decisions. That's not their job. Their job is to enforce the law. Now, I think if there's a more innocent explanation of this, I imagine Mr. Strzok will have a chance to try and provide it. I think Mr. DeSantis may know better, but I would expect a number of subpoenas coming out of the House Judiciary Committee to talk to all of these people we've seen mentioned, showing their anti-Trump bias, their activism on behalf of the Democrats, and I think that this is topic A for a future hearing.
Yeah, they look like they're, these are MoveOn.org kind of activists. Or it sounds like well, okay, it's almost a conspiracy inside the FBI to do something to stop this president or this candidate from gaining steam. And Congressman DeSantis, I want to talk to you on this. You want some of these people to be subpoenaed. The documents aren't as forthcoming as they should be, coming fast to you, to the committee as they should be. But will you be able to get Peter Strzok to testify?
I think we will eventually. So remember, Bruce Orr It's a high-ranking Justice Department official. He just got demoted because he was meeting with Christopher Steele, who Fusion GPS paid to do the Trump dossier before the election, and then meeting with Fusion GPS after the election. Oh, by the way, the guy's wife works, guess what, at Fusion GPS. So I think you have a confluence of a number of people in the Justice Department, a number of people in the FBI, knee-deep in the dossier. So, yes, we need to know how did they get the dossier? Did they pay for the dossier? Rosenstein wouldn't tell us whether your tax dollars were used for the dossier. So we need all of those answers. I think Strzok needs to come in. I think Orr needs to come in. I think McCabe needs to come in. And we got to put them under oath.
What kind of conversations are they having in the offices? Don't they have, like, bad guys to stop, like real criminals and real work to do at the FBI? But they're sitting around agonizing about whether Donald Trump will win the presidency, apparently. And they're like, oh, my God, he's the worst ever. And what if he wins? And we've got to stop it. And you Cape Crusader. What are you going to do? The whole thing is just, it's embarrassing for the FBI. So all of these people, and James, I want to hear from you. All of these people, Republicans and Democrats, who trotted out Bob Mueller as an unimpeachable arbiter in a special counsel prosecution or investigation. You could never question him because he was a Vietnam vet. He was bipartisan respect. I got to say, in watching this thing play out, I'm not impressed. I'm just not impressed with how he's handled this. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Yeah, it's hard to think of what team he could have assembled that would give his investigation less credibility. And you're talking about what they're talking about in the office. I mean, remember, these are careful, experienced lawyers. This is what they're putting in writing and text to each other. You can only imagine what they're saying about Trump and their plans for him when they're not recording it. But I think that also that discussion within the office, and it comes up in the context of them talking about the insurance policy, not sure what that means, seems to be some effort to keep Trump from being president.
FISA. That's what my gut is. It's a FISA warrant.
It raises the question, who else? Yeah. So we've been talking about Strzok and Page.
Lisa Page getting that FISA warrant, maybe pushing that FISA warrant. If I had to guess right now, it sounds like it's something out of Homeland or 24, the old 24 show. But it sounds like, all right, you go in and get the FISA thing. We'll monitor what the campaign's doing, and if we have to bring out the big dogs at FISA, we'll do that. I mean, the whole thing.
And given Strzok's job, he's probably the guy who would do that. I mean, get the FISA warrant, given his counterintelligence role. Who knows?
Exactly.